So, when a guy you're into sends you that text, what do? You know the one. The text that pops up on your screen and makes your stomach do a little flip. And not in a good way. It's the send me a pic text. The what are you wearing text. The text that comes way asterisk too soon from a guy you're still trying to figure out if you even like. I used to panic. I'm being honest. My brain would just short circuit, and I thought I only had two choices: either ghost him and risk losing someone who could be great, or send back some cringy selfie that made me feel cheap and devalued myself in the process. I felt totally trapped. It felt like he had all the power and I was just supposed to react. But what if I told you there's a third option? A simple phrase that not only stops him in his tracks, but actually makes him see you as a hi. Al, you woman he has to earn. A woman with substance. Stick around, because I'm going to share the exact phrase that changed everything for me, explain why it's so powerful, and show you how it will completely transform the way you handle these tricky but crucial moments in modern dating. Picture this. A guy sends you a sexual text. How do you respond in a way that gets him to slow down without sending him running for the hills? You're stuck in this frustrating middle ground where you don't want to come across as a prude, but you absolutely do not want to be seen as easy or as someone who doesn't respect herself. It's a classic dilemma. You might even like him, you might even be attracted to him, but his timing is just off. He's already on step 5, and you're still trying to decide if you even want to take step 1. This feeling of being flustered, of being put on the spot, is something so many of us experience. It's this internal battle that makes you second guess yourself. Am I overreacting? Is this just how guys flirt? If I say no, will he just lose interest and move on to the next person who will play along? That fear, that pressure, is exactly what leads us to respond in ways that don't serve us. It's time to end that cycle for good. To do that, we first need to understand the responses that are holding us back. Before I figured out what actually works, I, like a lot of women, cycled through a few key responses that always left me feeling worse. Let's call them the 3 common mistakes. The first mistake is the awkward deflection. This is where you don't give him what he wants, but you don't really address what he did either. He says, "Send me a pic." And you reply with something like, "Haha, no, I can't." Or you make up a lame excuse like, "My camera's broken," or "The lighting in here is terrible." The problem with this is that it does absolutely nothing to set a boundary. You're just brushing his comment under the rug and trying to continue the conversation. And what message does that send? It tells him he can make these kinds of requests without any real social consequence. It signals that you're either too scared or too passive to call him out, which, in his mind, might mean you're an easy target for more pressure later. You haven't increased your value, you've just delayed his next attempt. The second common mistake is aggressive rejection. This is the polar opposite. He sends the text and you fire back with anger. "Why would you even ask me that?" Or "I'm not that kind of girl." Now, listen, your anger is completely valid, but this response can often be counterproductive if you're actually interested in getting to know the guy. Why? Because it immediately creates a hostile, adversarial dynamic. It shuts the conversation down and can make you seem overly reactive. While it definitely communicates a boundary, it does so by building a giant wall. A guy who might have just been clumsily trying to flirt will likely back off, not because he respects you more, but because he now sees you as difficult or unapproachable. It closes the door on the chance for him to correct his behavior and try to connect with you in a more respectful way. And then there's the third mistake, and maybe the one that chips away at our self-worth the most, actually sending the picture. You feel the pressure, you don't want him to lose interest, so you just give in. You snap a selfie. Maybe it's suggestive, maybe it's not, but you send it, and for a moment you get a hit of validation from his positive reply. But what happens after that? That feeling almost always fades, and it's replaced by a sense of feeling. Well, cheap. You feel like you just gave away a piece of your intimacy for free to someone who hasn't earned it. You've shown him that your body and your intimacy are easily accessible, which drastically lowers your perceived value. You've let him set the pace and the terms of the interaction. In doing so, you've handed over all your power. So, if being passive, being aggressive, and giving in are all the wrong moves, what's the right one? My aha moment came when I realized I was looking at the problem all wrong. I was thinking in terms of yes or no. Should I give in or should I reject him? I needed a third path, a path that was both charming and firm. A path that showed I have standards, but also that I have a sexy, confident side. I realized that the most powerful way to respond wasn't about rejecting the man, but about recalibrating the timeline of the relationship. And that led me to this simple, ridiculously effective phrase that you can use in almost any of these situations. He sends you that forward text, and you send this back. I think you have me confused with a future me who's been on many more dates with you. Let that sink in for a second. Read it again. I think you have me confused with a future me who's been on many more dates with you. This single sentence is a masterclass in communication. It is the perfect blend of playful, confident, and firm. It doesn't just shut him down, it elevates you. It separates you from every other woman he has ever texted. Let's break down exactly why this is so incredibly effective. This line is genius because it hits multiple psychological triggers all at once. First, and most importantly, it sets a clear boundary without being hostile. You are clearly saying no to his request right now. You're letting him know this isn't appropriate for this stage. But the asterisk way asterisk, you say it isn't angry or judgmental. You're not shaming him. You're framing it as a simple case of mistaken identity. He's talking to the present you, but asking for something that only a asterisk future you, a you that knows him much better, would consider. This protects his ego, so he doesn't get defensive, and it leaves the door wide open for him to fix his mistake. Second, it increases attraction by implying a future. The magic of this line is that it's not a hard no forever. It's a not right now. The phrase future me is dripping with intrigue. You're not saying you're a prude or that you're not interested in physical intimacy. It's the opposite. You are subtly hinting that you are a sexual person, but that side of you is reserved for a man who actually invests in you. It paints a picture in his mind of a future where, if he plays his cards right, he might get to know that more intimate side of you. This creates a sense of challenge and anticipation, two key ingredients for attraction. Third, it demonstrates massive self-respect. This is probably the most powerful part. The line explicitly states the price of admission for deeper intimacy, many more dates with you. This tells him you are not a source of instant gratification. You are a woman of value whose time, affection, and intimacy must be earned. Look, men are hardwired to test boundaries, especially early on. They want to see what they can get away with. When you respond with a line like this, you aren't just passing his test, you are acing it with flying colors. You are signaling that you respect yourself, and therefore he must respect you too. Think about that shift in power. He sent a low-effort text, hoping for a high reward payoff. You responded not by playing his game, but by creating a whole new one, a game where he has to level up. You have taken back control. You're no longer reacting to him. You are the one setting the pace. You are the chooser. This is just one example of how understanding the psychology of attraction can completely change your dating life. If you're tired of feeling confused or powerless and you want more specific advice on how to build this kind of unshakable confidence, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. I put out new videos every week to help you become the most confident, high-value version of yourself. The next time your phone buzzes with that all too familiar text, I want you to take a deep breath. Remember that feeling of panic, that false choice between ghosting him and cringing through it, is no longer your reality. You have a new tool in your toolkit. I think you have me confused with a future me who's been on many more dates with you. This isn't just a clever line, it's a declaration of your worth. It's a statement that says, I am not a destination you arrive at instantly. I am a journey you have to be willing to take. It communicates that you are fun, you are sexy, you are confident, and most importantly, you are a woman with standards. The right guy, the kind of guy you actually want a future with, won't be scared off by this. He'll be intrigued, he'll be challenged, and he will respect you for it. He'll recognize that he's dealing with a woman who knows her value, and he will either step up to meet your standards or he will filter himself out. Either way, you win, because at the end of the day, you are the one who sets the pace. You decide the terms. Your comfort and your standards matter more than anything else. Never forget the power you have to guide your interactions and to attract a man who isn't just looking for a moment, but who is willing to earn a future.